Hi everyone, welcome to the session. Hope you all are doing well and welcome to our YouTube channel Unacademy IELTS, and I'm your favorite educator Gurpreet Singh, back with another informative session in which we are going to learn about IELTS. I'm going to give you deep insights into IELTS, but before that, do let me know how many of you can hear me, see me, so that we can make it highly interactive, and just drop a hi or a hello in the live chat so that we can make it a very healthy discussion. So can you guys hear me? Just drop a hi or a hello maybe. Yeah, just let me know if you all can hear me and see me properly. Cool. Hi GB, how are you? That's great, everybody. Alright, so quickly drop a hi or maybe a hello in the live chat so that we can interact. Hi Manjinder, good evening. Yes. Alright. Okay, so but before we proceed, let me know which IELTS are you taking? Are you taking the academic IELTS or are you taking the general training IELTS? Hi Shelly, good evening everybody. So which IELTS are you taking? So are you taking the academic IELTS or the general training? Which IELTS are you taking? Quickly. Okay, GB is doing for GT. Alright, great. Alright. So before we proceed, please press the like button so that we can be motivated. Alright, everybody. So how many of you claim that you know all about IELTS? How many of you know everything about IELTS? And do you really know as much about the IELTS test as you think? Hi Jashan, good evening. So do you really know? How much do you know already, or do you want to learn a bit more about it in a fun way? So I have created a quiz, right? So that you can test yourself on how much you know about the exam. So you're going to get a lot of insights. It's just a bit of fun. So are you ready to take the test and enjoy? Are you ready to take the test and enjoy? Yeah. So I have curated a quiz for you if you people want to attempt it, and we are going to see how much you already know about IELTS, or is there something that you are learning for the very first time? Shall we? Quickly let me know if you people are ready so that we can start. So I'll be giving you 15 questions in total for the warm-up, and then we'll continue. Great. Are you people ready? Just type ready in the live chat so that we can start. Okay. Alright. So here's my first question. I know it is the simplest, but there might be some of you which are new to IELTS. So what are the modules that you must take in the IELTS exam? So this is my first question to you. Speaking and writing, speaking, writing, reading, listening and grammar, speaking, writing, reading and listening, and last option says speaking, writing and reading. What would you say? What would you say? Quickly let me know. Alright. What is your answer to this question? Alright, that's great. So these are the 4 modules that you must take in the IELTS exam, right? And in order they are listening, reading, writing and speaking. Alright. Okay. Next question. Next question is, you can take academic or general training IELTS, but if you want to emigrate to an English speaking country, which IELTS should you take? That's my next question to you. So if you want to emigrate to an English speaking country, which IELTS should you take? IELTS Academic or IELTS General Training? Very good. Very nice. So which test should you take if you are willing to emigrate to an English speaking country? Correct. In that case, we'll be taking the IELTS General Training. All right. All right. Cool. Ready for the next? Okay. Next is, in the academic writing test. Remember, I'm asking you in the academic writing test, do you have to write a letter or describe a diagram such as a graph? So what exactly are we supposed to do in the IELTS academic writing test? Quickly. So in the academic writing test, what are we supposed to write? We are supposed to, yes, we are supposed to write a report on the visual that is going to be given to us. Yeah, great. Next question is, what are the minimum number of words you should write in the writing test for task 1 and task 2? Come on, that's a very important question. What are the minimum number of words you should write in the writing test for task 1 and task 2? Very good. Very nice. Yes, for task 1 we are supposed to write at least 150 words. Yes, for task 1 we are supposed to write at least 150 words, and for task 2 it should be at least 250, right? Okay, great. Next is, how many minutes is the IELTS speaking test? How many minutes is the IELTS speaking test? How many minutes is the IELTS speaking test? Let me know quickly. How many minutes is the IELTS listening test? Is it 8 to 12 minutes, 9 to 13 minutes, or can be around 11 to 14 or 12 to 15 minutes? What do you say? What is the duration of the test? What would you say? Yes, so that lasts for around 11 to 14 minutes, roughly 11 to 14 minutes. Okay, so your IELTS speaking test duration is around 11 to 14 minutes. Now, next question. How many parts are there in the speaking test? How many parts are there in the speaking test? Two, 3 or 4? So how many parts do we have in the IELTS speaking test? Yes, there are 3 parts in the IELTS speaking test. Part 1 is all about you your hobbies, your likes, dislikes. Part 2 is a cue card that is given to you on which you have to speak for around 2 minutes and you have 1 minute to prepare. And part 3 is a follow-up discussion. Alright? Okay, now again, very important question. You listen once in the IELTS listening test and then you have 10 minutes at the end to transfer your answers to an answer sheet. So how many times can you transfer your answers to the answer sheet? Only once, twice, or you can transfer as many times as you need. So how many times can you transfer your answers to an answer sheet? Yes, it's only once. You will not be given a second time to transfer, right? So make sure that you transfer your answers correctly on the answer sheet. Okay? Yeah. Now, next one. It says, what will you normally hear in the last section of the IELTS listening test? So, as we move to part 4 of the IELTS listening test, what exactly do you listen? Is it a conversation between two people? Or is it a monologue set in an everyday social situation? Or it's a monologue on an academic subject? Or it's a conversation between up to 4 people? So what exactly is it? When it comes to part 4 or the last section of the IELTS listening test, what do you normally hear in that? So part 4 is actually a monologue. Now you have to see, is it a monologue set in an everyday social situation or a monologue on an academic subject? What exactly is it? Yes, actually it's a monologue on an academic subject. It's a lecture. It's a university lecture. Alright. It's actually a lecture by an expert on an academic subject. Okay. Next is, how many questions are there in the listening and reading tests? How many questions are there in the IELTS listening and reading tests? So in IELTS reading and IELTS listening tests, how many questions do we have in both of them? 30, 40, 50, 60. So how many questions? Yes, it's 40. The correct answer is B, 40. Next is, in the IELTS reading, you have 10 minutes at the end to transfer your answers to an answer sheet. What do you say? You have 10 minutes in IELTS reading to transfer your answers to an answer sheet. Is it the case? Think about it. Yes, it's actually false. We don't have in reading, we have that in the IELTS listening section. So that's going to be false. Next is, you will lose marks if you have spelling or grammar errors in your answers for the IELTS listening and reading tests. Very, very important. So you're going to lose marks if there is any spelling or grammar mistake in your answers in IELTS listening and reading tests. Is that true or is that false? Yes, that's true. Spellings are an essential part. Alright? Yes. Next is, in the listening and reading, you may write your answers in lowercase or capital letters. There's no compulsion. True or false? It's up to you, but what do we do on the safe side? Is there any compulsion that you are obliged to write in capital letters or in lowercase, or you are free to choose? So the question says you may write them in lowercase or you may write them in capital letters. Actually, it's up to you. If your writing is legible, you can do that in lowercase as well. But ideally, to avoid any ambiguity, what we as trainers recommend you to do is to transfer them in capital letters. Okay, so that there's no ambiguity in proper nouns, in names of people. So that's the reason we generally ask you to transfer in capital letters. Otherwise, there's no such compulsion. Okay. Next, when is your IELTS result available for the paper-based test? After the test on the same day, 7 days later, 13 days later, or 18 days later? When is your IELTS result available for the paper-based test? We have only 2 questions left. Correct, 13 days later. 13 days later. Next is, there is nothing you can do if you think one or more of your band scores is wrong. So if you think, your band score in one of the sections is wrong, there is nothing you can do, or there is something which you can apply for. So the question says you cannot do anything if you think one or more of your band scores is wrong. So for that, we have EOR, that's inquiry on results. Alright, so that's for sure that you can do. So if you think one or more of your band scores is wrong, you can go for an inquiry on results. You can go for an EOR, okay? So that's going to be false. Last question. It says, how long does the test result remain valid after taking the exam? How long does the test result remain valid after taking the exam? 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years? Yes, it's valid for 2 years, right? Okay, so are you done with it? Are we done? Great. Chalo. Now, since in this session we will talk about which IELTS test should you take. Should you go for an IELTS academic test or general training? And how will you know which IELTS test would be suitable for you? So shall we go and have a look quickly? Yeah, let's do that. Now, see, it depends whether you are required to take this test for your visa or maybe for your study application, right? So that means you are going to have a choice between IELTS academic or IELTS general training, right? But which test you will take, it will depend on your purpose of taking the test, all right? Yes. So there are basically 2 tests available. One is IELTS academic and second is IELTS general training. So as I told you, the test that you would be taking, it will depend on the purpose. Is it for your visa or for your study application? Yeah. So as far as the IELTS academic test is concerned, it is generally for, getting admissions into universities or colleges abroad, right? Correct? So the organization where you plan to work or study, it will set the requirement for you. Alright? Okay? So basically, if you want to take the IELTS academic or IELTS general, it will depend on the purpose. It will depend on the purpose. So before you book your test, I would advise you to check which IELTS would be suitable for you, because many students are not aware of the right test that they want to take. Okay? Okay. Next is, see, for IELTS general training, the English proficiency that they would be expecting from you would be in a very practical or set in a very everyday context. Yeah, so the reading and the listening sections that you're going to take, they will reflect your workplace situations or maybe social situations. Okay, so for reading, you might be, reading some notices, advertisements. So for IELTS general training, the context is usually workplace and social. And surprisingly, IELTS is the only English test that provides general training for migration purposes. Did you know that? Did you know that? IELTS is the only English test which provides general training for migration purposes. No other provider does that. Okay? So, when should you go for an IELTS general training exam? When should you go for it? That's the question. That's the question, right? Yeah. So, you take the IELTS general training test if you want to, let's say, migrate to New Zealand, you want to migrate to Australia or any other English speaking country, you want to get another job in your own country, right? You want to study or maybe train below degree level. So that's also when you take the IELTS general training. Or maybe you want to work in an English speaking country. Okay. So these are, 4 purposes or 4 reasons why you should be taking the IELTS general training exam. Okay. Next is, do you need IELTS academic? And if so, when? Now, as I have told you, you should take the IELTS academic exam if you want to get admitted into universities or colleges abroad. Alright, so that is basically for an academic environment. So IELTS academic, so as I told you, IELTS general will focus on everyday or social context. IELTS academic will test whether your English proficiency is, up to the mark at an academic level. It will test your proficiency of academic language, or also test if you are ready to begin your studies abroad. Hi Manish, good evening. Alright, so that's when we take the IELTS academic exam. Then, when should you go for an IELTS academic exam? So, you take the IELTS academic exam if you want to study at an undergraduate level or postgraduate level, or maybe you want to do a doctorate abroad. Okay? Then you want to get a job that requires professional registration. For example, for doctors, nurses, teachers or lawyers, they need to take the IELTS academic exam. Alright, so that's the difference between IELTS academic and IELTS general training exam. Now, there's one more question that many people have in their mind is, can you use your IELTS academic results for migration purposes? Now, what do you think? Can you use them? Can you use academic results for migration purposes? Can you do them? So, as is written on your screen, IELTS academic and general training are basically 2 completely different types of tests, and they have different purposes. So there are some organizations which might accept academic result in place of general training, but the entire decision is up to them. They are free to decide. Okay. So there are some organizations in some countries which do accept an IELTS academic result in place of general training. But again, the decision lies on them. But what you can do is, you can contact your specific organization to learn more about it. Alright? Okay. Next is IELTS general training for work. So, if you are looking for a job, let's say you want to do a job, so you can use IELTS to show to your employer that you have the English language skills that they need. Okay, so there are many employers in several countries which do accept the IELTS general training. Why? Because it tests your everyday and social English skills. Cool. So if you are looking for a job, let's say in hospitality, management, retail, education, government, so if you have a good IELTS certificate, it can help you achieve your career aspirations. Okay. Alright. Now, why do we take the IELTS academic exam? As I told you, it's for those students who want to study in an English speaking environment. But again, if you want to study abroad, you need to have the appropriate English language skills. You need to have those tools to succeed while being at university. Okay, so you can show, so as you can show the proficiency when you take the IELTS general training exam, the similarly you can do for IELTS academic as well. So it's basically a test of proficiency, whether you will be able to cope with the university culture and teaching or not. Okay, so that means IELTS academic test will measure if you are ready to begin studying in English at a university or college in an English speaking environment. Alright, so IELTS academic basically it features academic context, vocabulary, so that you can be familiar within an academic setting, right? But if you're not going to, let's say, a college or university, you might be able to do the general training test. Alright, in between, if you have got any questions for me, I'll be more than happy to address them. Next is, what is the benefit of doing general training over academic? If there is any, let's see. Now, the difference lies only in the reading and writing sections. The speaking and listening sections are the same without any change. Now, with the writing part in general training, you got to write a letter to somebody. It can be a formal letter, it can be a letter to someone whom you have not met before, whom you do not know personally, or maybe you got to write a letter to your close friend. A formal letter, semi-formal letter, or an informal letter. So, but with IELTS academic, you are supposed to describe and write a report on a visual. It can be a bar graph, it can be a line graph, it can be a pie chart, it can be a table, it can be a process. Okay, so the writing section is different. Basically, the task 1 is different for both of them. When it comes to the reading section, the academic IELTS has 3 long texts from academic journal articles or textbooks. The GT test has 4 short passages. And as I told you, the context is very social. They are set in an everyday context. Okay. Now the question arises, sir, which one is easier, academic or GT? That's the question. Now it's hard to say which one is easier, right? People find different things difficult. So be careful. Don't choose IELTS general training just because you think it is easier, because both of them have got a different purpose. Right? Ultimately, what matters the most is that you select the test that is suitable for you. Right? Are you taking the test for doing, studies abroad or for entry into colleges or universities? Then you should probably be taking the IELTS academic test. But if you want to work or basically emigrate, so for that, the only option is general training. Okay. So that is it from my end. If you've got any other doubts or queries related to which IELTS should you be taking, you can reach out to me on Unacademy, and we at Unacademy help you prepare for the IELTS in a very systematic and comprehensive way. We have structured courses wherein you'll be guided on all the 5 sections, I would say: reading, listening, writing, speaking, along with grammar. So as you can see on your screen, we have started a comprehensive course on grammar on 27th of May, that is yesterday, and the timings are 9 p.m. So if you also want to fulfill your dream of studying abroad, Unacademy IELTS would be the right choice for you. because you're going to get a structured learning environment there. You're going to get a structured learning environment there. All our courses are structured and in line with your exam syllabus. Alright, so our courses cater to a beginner to advanced level. So if you are at any stage of your preparation, our courses would help you out. Okay, so if you've got any other doubts, you guys can reach out to us. You can attend our special classes, free classes on the Unacademy platform, right? So if you are looking forward to world-class training for IELTS, Unacademy IELTS is an apt choice for you, and we will help you get closer to your dream of studying abroad, pursuing higher studies and career abroad. Alright, so that is it. If you're looking forward to subscribe and be a part of our amazing family of Unacademy, which is India's largest learning platform, you can enroll for our plus courses. Depending on how much time you have, you can go for a 2-month subscription or maybe a 3-month subscription. So, and above that, you can avail a discount of 10% using the referral code Gurpreet10. Trust me, this is the best offer that you're going to get ever. And also the quality of content that would be delivered to you would be world class. So till then, take care. Do not forget to hit the like button, press the bell icon so that you are notified whenever we have a session. Alright, so do not forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I will catch you very soon in yet another session tomorrow. So this is Gurpreet Singh signing off for now, and I will see you anytime soon.